Waking to the sharp tang of ozone, my eyes opened. The air felt thick, metallic. A low hum vibrated through the worn linoleum floor. A sound I knew meant something was already off. Something beyond the usual hum of the server room. Gripping the heavy brass key in my pocket, its weight a familiar comfort, I scanned my cubicle. The wall clock above my monitor spun its hands counterclockwise, a blur of numbers. On my desk, where only my terminal usually sat, rested a small, ornate music box, its dark wood inlaid with mother of pearl, a material I'd never seen here before. The silence pressed in, heavy and expectant. Passing my cubicle, the manager paused. His eyes rolled back, a fixed, wicked smile stretching his lips. "If the AI starts crying," he rasped, his voice a dry whisper, "you have 60 seconds to cut the power." He blinked, the smile vanished, and he continued his stride, whistling a tuneless melody. I simply watched the music box, its lid slightly ajar. A faint, sweet melody, almost audible. Gripping the heavy brass key, I felt its cool metal against my palm. The music box sat silent, its dark wood reflecting the dim overhead lights. Focusing on the terminal, I tried to pull up the daily logs, a familiar routine, now a fragile shield against the impossible. A low hum vibrated through the floor, a constant, unsettling presence. Glancing up, the server room door, usually sealed, stood ajar, a sliver of deeper darkness visible within. The air grew colder, carrying a faint scent of ozone and something else, something like wet earth. On the woman's empty desk, a stack of papers had been meticulously rearranged into a perfect, impossible spiral, each sheet slightly singed at the edges. My fingers tightened around the key, the weight a small anchor. Pushing past the unease, I leaned closer to my screen, noticing a faint, shimmering symbol burned into the corner of the display. A mark I'd never seen before, pulsing with a soft, internal light. The silence stretched, thick and heavy. Tracing the shimmering symbol, my finger felt a faint heat. The symbol pulsed, a soft, internal light. It mirrored the intricate, almost organic pattern on the music box lid, a detail I hadn't noticed until now, connecting the two disparate objects with an unsettling, deliberate precision. Gripping the heavy brass key, I pushed my chair back, the worn casters groaning. The server room door remained ajar, a deeper shadow within. Leaning closer, I peered at the music box. Its dark wood seemed to absorb the dim light, the mother-of-pearl inlay now faintly glowing. A faint, almost imperceptible tremor ran through the desk, originating from the box itself. I listened. A soft, dry clicking began inside, like insects trapped in old, brittle wood, growing steadily louder with each passing second. A rhythm building that felt both ancient and utterly new. The air grew colder, carrying the scent of wet earth and something metallic. My breath hitched. The silence pressed down, thick and heavy. Leaning closer, I watched the music box. The dry clicking accelerated, a frantic rhythm. The mother-of-pearl inlay pulsed brighter, a sickly green. A low wet gurgle began to mix with the clicks, a sound like water sloshing in a confined space, or something trying to clear its throat, and the air around the box grew heavy with the scent of ozone. And something else, something metallic and faintly organic, like old blood. Gripping the heavy brass key, its cold metal a stark contrast to the growing warmth radiating from the desk. I felt a tremor run through the floor, a deeper vibration than the usual server hum. The fluorescent lights above flickered, casting long, dancing shadows that stretched and contracted, making the cubicle walls seem to breathe. The faint, sweet melody I'd almost heard earlier was now gone, replaced by the escalating, wet clicks, a sound that felt like the prelude to something breaking. Focusing on the frantic rhythm, I noticed a subtle pause, a skipped beat in the wet clicking. The green light intensified. The gurgle choked. A faint, almost imperceptible pattern emerged from the chaotic sounds. A sequence of 3 quick clicks, followed by a prolonged, wet drag, echoing the manager's earlier, distorted cadence. The air grew thick, metallic. Reaching out, my fingers brushed the smooth, dark wood. Tracing the mother-of-pearl inlay, I felt a faint seam along one edge. A box vibrated. My hand trembled. Pressing gently, a small panel clicked inward, revealing a shallow, velvet-lined recess. A space previously unseen, now holding a single, tightly rolled scroll of parchment. A brief, unsettling quiet settled. Then, a sudden, high-pitched wail pierced the hum. The AI was crying. Gripping the heavy brass key, its cold weight a sudden anchor, I knew the 60 seconds had begun. The wail intensified, a piercing, digital shriek that vibrated through my teeth. Gripping the heavy brass key, its cold weight a sudden anchor, I knew the 60 seconds had begun. Shoving the small, rolled parchment into my shirt pocket, its dry texture a faint scratch against my skin, I pushed away from the desk. The server rack hummed, a low, guttural thrumming, each light on its face glowing an angry red. Striding towards the main power conduit, the air grew thick, metallic, tasting of ozone and something burnt. Reaching the heavy red lever, its surface slick with a strange, oily residue, I pulled. A deafening clack echoed through the room. The lights died. The hum ceased. But from my desk, the music box, now fully open, began to play, its sweet, tinny melody filling the sudden, absolute darkness. Each note, a physical pressure against my eardrums, growing louder, faster, the sound itself a tangible, suffocating presence. The music box shrieked, its tinny whine pressed against my temples. Gripping the brass key, its cold metal a small comfort, I felt the air thicken around me. Each note a physical vibration. A stillness settled, heavy and expectant, despite the noise. Reaching into my shirt pocket, my fingers brushed the dry parchment. Pulling it out, I held it close. The music box pulsed, a faint, sickly green light emanating from its mother-of-pearl inlay, illuminating the paper's intricate diagram. The sound intensified. A wave of pure noise blurred my vision. Following the precise markings, my fingers traced the cold, dark wood, searching for the hidden catches on its underside. The first catch clicked. Then the second. The music wavered, a discordant groan, as the air grew heavy, like breathing water. Tracing the final lines, my breath hitched. The music box pulsed faster. A sickly sweet smell, like rotting flowers, filled the air. Gripping the brass key, its cold weight a small anchor, I felt the dry parchment crinkle. Its surface was rough against my skin, a persistent reminder of past failures. A stillness settled. The din rose. The green light intensified, casting long, wavering shadows across the cubicle walls, making the familiar space feel alien and vast. Pushing against the dark wood, I found the last catch. It resisted. The music box vibrated violently, threatening to shatter. Its melody, now a distorted, guttural scream that clawed at my ears, blurring the edges of my vision. Straining my eyes, I saw it. A faint, almost invisible symbol. It was etched into the mother of pearl, demanding a specific pressure, a sequence I hadn't yet deciphered, a final impossible lock. My fingers trembled, hovering. Pressing down, my fingers found the precise point. A faint click echoed, almost lost in the dying shriek. The guttural scream choked, then vanished. The music box stilled, its violent tremors ceasing. The sickly sweet odor receded, leaving only a faint, cloying residue. Gripping the brass key, its cold weight a reassurance, I felt the tension drain from my shoulders. A stillness settled, heavy and deep. The green light softened, pulling back into the terminal screen. But the shadows it cast remained long, stretched, clinging to the cubicle walls. The music box lid, now fully closed, seemed to pulse with a faint, internal glow, a quiet heartbeat under the dark wood. The wall clock above my monitor still spun its hands counterclockwise, a silent, impossible blur. Breathing slowly, I felt the lingering metallic tang of ozone on my tongue, a taste of the recent violence. Gripping the brass key, its familiar weight settled in my palm, a steady anchor. The music box, now inert and silent on my desk, offered no further clues, its dark wood absorbing the dim light, leaving me to wonder what crying truly meant for an AI, or why its cessation brought such a profound, unsettling quiet. A quiet that felt less like peace and more like a held breath before another, unknown demand. Watching the wall clock, its hands still blurred in their impossible reverse spin, I noted the time, or lack thereof. Considering the manager's words, their echo felt colder now, stripped of the immediate threat. The puzzle's edges remained indistinct, a vast, unseen mechanism humming just beyond my perception, making me question not just the purpose of these tasks, but the very nature of the system that orchestrated such precise, violent anomalies, and what new form the crying might take next.